Novablast 2 better than the Novablast 1? Good morning, YouTube. What's up, everybody? I hope you're safe and healthy and happy and doing okay. So for the shoe we're going to talk about today, the Novablast 2, my intention was to skip the first run impressions video and go straight to full review because I got the shoe really early and I didn't want to put the video out too far ahead of its release date because people will forget about it or whatever the case is. I just wanted to wait. And I have been able to do that. I have about 40 miles in this shoe. However, I wanted to get it to 50 and then I got sick last week and couldn't run at all. So we're gonna be at 40 miles with this shoe for the full review, but I think you guys get the general idea. I just wanted to give you that disclaimer. So if you guys can remember back to last summer, I reviewed the Novablast 1 and I really liked it, but it did have a fatal flaw for me, and that was the instability of the shoe. And a lot of people had problems with the instability of the Novablast 1. Even neutral runners had problems with it. That's when you know. So I was hoping, along with many others, that they would fix the stability issue in the Novablast 2 and make it just an overall better shoe. So did they do that? You'll have to wait till the run footage is over to find out. If you're unfamiliar with how I structure my full reviews, let me give you a rundown. First, we're going to go over the specs. Then we're going to talk about the upper, the midsole, the outsole, the pricing on the shoe, and then my conclusions on the shoe. And that's where I rate it out of 5 stars. So if it's the best shoe I've ever worn and I never want to take it off my foot, it's going to be 5 stars. And if it's the worst shoe I've ever worn and I never want to look at it again, it's going to be 1 star. Then at the end, I'll throw up a screen with the pros and the cons so you can get a visual idea of what I liked and what I disliked. And one more thing before we get started today, I do want to let you know that this shoe was sent to me by Asics. However, they're not going to see this video before you. They can't tell me what to say, and all of my opinions, as usual, are my own. So without any other nonsense, let's start with the specs of the Novablast 2. Now, I actually don't know what this shoe weighs for a women's size 7, but for my size, 10.5 women's, this shoe comes in at 9.98 ounces. So we're just tipping the scale at 10 ounces. A little bit heavy considering I just weighed this shoe and it came in at 9.3 ounces. So we are gaining a little bit of weight here, or really I should do this because this is like sinking, get it? For women, this shoe has an 8mm drop with 29mm of stack in the heel and 21 in the forefoot. For men, it's 30mm of stack in the heel and 22 in the forefoot. So same drop, just different stack heights. And for me, the Asics Novablast 2 is true to size. The upper of the Asics Novablast 2 is completely redesigned from the first version. Where do we begin? First, let's start with the 2-layer jacquard mesh that Asics is using here. It is slightly more breathable, I think, than the first version of this shoe and just more comfortable on your foot. If we go to the midfoot, you'll see the big ol' Asics logo acting as an overlay here. And moving to the heel counter, it is very sturdy, certainly going to hold your ankle and heel in place. One of my problems with the first version of the Novablast was that I felt that the upper was super archaic. They were using weird materials that we haven't seen on running shoes in a while, or at least that's how I perceived it. And yeah, it just didn't work. It was very stiff and kind of uncomfortable in sort of a way. This material is worlds better. It's more flexible, less stiff, softer. I mean, it's just better in every way, shape, and form. The laces are now like a flatter, softer lace, whereas on the Novablast 1, they were pretty skinny and just weird. I don't know. I didn't like them at all. The tongue is nice and padded, and it is gusseted in the Novablast 2. The one was not gusseted. And another thing that I do like about this shoe and the heel counter area is that while it's still padded like the one was, the one's heel counter came to a little bit of a point in the back, and it didn't bother me, but it does look like they have rounded that out a bit and kind of doled that down. So I'm guessing that some people did have a problem with that on their Achilles, and yeah, I'm hoping that this will alleviate whatever problems that might have caused. But it looks like they just listened to all of the things that the customers were saying about the upper. If you're wondering about breathability, yeah, it's still not the most breathable shoe I've ever worn, but I mean, it gets the job done. I wasn't baking, cooking, my foot wasn't on fire, grilling in the shoe. So yeah, that's great. And after 40 miles, I'm seeing no issues with durability here in the upper, and I had no issues with hot spots, breathability, or irritation here. So overall, just a million thumbs up. I think they did so much better this time. Kudos to Asics for listening to their customers. Asics is using their Flight Foam Blast material for the Novablast 2. We saw that in the first version, and in this version, you're gonna get 2 extra millimeters of foam under your foot. When Flight Foam Blast first came out on the market, I was so excited because Asics had been kind of lacking in the creative foam department. We had really only seen just regular Flight Foam, and it's a good foam, but it wasn't a very exciting, new, innovative foam. So Flight Foam Blast really got them on the map, and I still love it now. It hasn't changed for me. I do really enjoy this foam underfoot. It is soft, it's bouncy, it's responsive, it's fun. It just feels great. I don't know really how else to describe it. I've been doing a lot of 4-mile runs, 6-mile runs, and at an average pace for myself, not really killing it too much, but I have thrown in some strides with this shoe, and I do think it performs well. However, I would say that there are times where I definitely can feel the weight gain here a little bit under my foot, and it's just because there's more foam under here. So you're gonna feel that a little bit, or at least I did. Still, I think if you want just one shoe to kind of do it all, then this is a good option for that. You can still do tempo. You just have to be aware, maybe if you're coming from the first version, that you might feel that little bit of weight gain. But of course, if you watch my full review of this shoe, if you experience the one, then you know that there's kind of an elephant in the room here, and that's the stability. One of the major fatal flaws for the Novablast 1 was the stability. I mean, my foot, when I tell you that my foot caved in, I mean, I'll show you footage right here. You'll see it for yourself. It just caved inward so much. And yes, I overpronate as it is, but like I said in my full review, I think even a neutral foot strike would overpronate in this shoe. So has that gotten better with the 2? I'm gonna say that it definitely has gotten a lot better. The forefoot of this shoe feels a bit wider underfoot and a bit flatter. So while you're gaining 2 millimeters of stack height here, Asics also reduced the drop to 8 millimeters from 10. And so you're just a little bit lower to the ground, which helps with the stability elements of the shoe. When I put these 2 shoes on side by side and did some walking around, I could even feel myself walking around in the shoe and just falling inward like this. I did not experience that. You can really feel the high up difference and almost like an edge in the forefoot here where your foot can just kind of roll over. They also did some other things to improve the stability of the shoe that I want to point out, and one of those things is in the midfoot here. It's probably better to see here. We have the midsole coming up on the sidewall of the shoe, just comes up a little bit, kind of acts as a bumper. And the last thing they did to improve stability is they added a very slight TPU overlay to the heel counter to reduce lateral movement. You might look at footage of me in this shoe and say you're still overpronating, and yeah, I still am overpronating. The Flight Foam Blast is just a bouncy foam, and that's what it's gonna be for me. It doesn't cause me any discomfort, any problems, However, I am overpointing a lot less in the Novablast 2 than I was in the 1. And for me, that's a huge win. You're getting more stability, you're getting more cushioning, and they're still able to maintain that fun, bouncy, soft ride. So there's really not much more that I could ask for. I'm guessing some of these changes definitely contribute to the weight gain, which I don't love when it comes to tempo work and, faster days. So that's kind of a negative, but I'm less inclined to really harp on it because of just how much better the shoe feels underfoot. The outsole of the Novablast 2 is AHAR plus rubber. We saw this in version 1 as well. The pattern has changed a bit. Asics says that this has been adjusted to improve ground contact, stability, and flexibility. Honestly, I don't feel too much of a difference. The traction works for me. I haven't had any problems with it, so that's great. I've taken it on damper days, dry days, grass, pavement, whatever the case is, and it's held up totally fine, no problems. I haven't really ever had a problem with an outsole from Asics, and I don't think that it's gonna start here with the Novablast 2. AHAR Plus does just fine for me. The Novablast 2 will be $130 when it is released. I believe it'll be releasing at the end of June. It's available for pre-order on runningwarehouse.com for $129.95. And honestly, I think it's worth it. I think that if you're wondering if you should get a discounted Novablast 1 or wait for the Novablast 2, I tell you to get the Novablast 2. If you're interested in pre-ordering your pair on runningwarehouse.com, just go to the link in the description of this video, click that link, and pre-order your own pair. Keep in mind this is an affiliate link with Running Warehouse, however, that doesn't mean much for you. It just helps out my channel so I can keep making these videos and helping you make a choice on a shoe, whether you should get the first version discounted or a full price second version. If we remember back to my full review of the Novablast 1, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And I said that they had the opportunity here, if they fixed some of their problems with the shoe, to make it a 5 out of 5. Now that might have been a little generous, but they have really fixed a lot of the things that were wrong with the shoe for me. So for that reason, I'm giving the Novablast 2 4 out of 5 stars. I did, of course, knock it down a bit for the weight gain. And I think because of that weight gain, it becomes a little bit less versatile of a shoe. So that's really why it gets a 4 out of 5 here for me, but a great score and a shoe that I think a lot of people are gonna like, whether you're an experienced, seasoned runner or a beginner runner and you're looking for a shoe that's gonna kind of do a lot of stuff. I think this can still get the job done. All right, so now let's throw up a screen with the pros and the cons. For pros, I have the new and improved upper, the increased stability, the great traction, and that the midsole is still fun despite the changes that were made. For cons, I have weight gain, and that I would like it to be a little bit more versatile. Asics is doing a phenomenal job in 2021 coming out with products that are innovative, fun, interesting, and that's a lot different from what we have seen from Asics in the past. So I love that they're listening to what people are saying out there and just going for it and trying different things. It's great. That's what every brand should be doing. I really enjoy this shoe, if you couldn't tell. Well, that concludes my full review of the Asics Novablast 2. If you enjoyed this video, please like it down below and subscribe. And when you're done with all that, hit the notifications bell down below so you can find out every time I upload a new video. I love this color. I mean, this is it. I have another video for you next week, but in the meantime, get out there, get on the grind, and don't forget to run like heller. See you next time. Want lunch? Want your lunch now? Is that what you're saying? Mom, come on. Give a kiss. Thank you. Let's go.